So today is a kickoff for our Whiteness History Month at Portland Community College, and this is the first event that we're having at the Southeast Campus. The college has over 100 events planned throughout the month of April, and there will be over 20 events here at this campus. So I'm one of the presenters for the first event that's happening here at Southeast.
So just tell us about why what is Whiteness History Month?
So Whiteness History Month is actually, whiteness is a term that's been in academic circles since the mid-90s, and it's really looking at the social construct of whiteness, and that whiteness is really a systemic organizational issue, and it affects everyone, not just people of color, but it affects all people. And so this event is really a grassroots approach with a committee of faculty, staff, and students that really design the events and the activities, and it really gives people an opportunity to assess what whiteness means to them.
Right, but what is whiteness? How do you define it?
So it's not based on race. It's a social organizational construct, and sorry, my phone.
That's cool. Yeah, this is wrong.
So it's really a way to look at how whiteness has oppressed everybody, not just people of color, and it makes us look at how we interact with each other and how we support each other and our differences. And the session that we're doing today is looking at unconscious bias. And so there's an instrument that Harvard University put out that allows people to individually look at their own conscious and unconscious bias. So that's one of the things we're going to discuss today.
So when you say whiteness is a cultural thing, basically, what do you mean? We're trying to understand, you're talking about what it does, but not what it actually is. What is that concept of whiteness?
So I think it's a social construct that really talks about privilege, and it talks about how it affects all people in society based on cultural norms of the U.S. And so I think it's delving into issues about how we relate to one another, how all people relate to one another.
What's an example of whiteness?
I'm not sure.
Well, an example of how whiteness plays out, of privilege, or how this manifests itself in a real way.
Okay. So I think that as a person with privilege, as a white male, I experience the world very differently than people of color. And so it's my awareness of that and how I interact with the world, how other people interact with me. So I guess that's an example of how whiteness affects everyone. And so it allows you to check your own privilege and sort of how you're viewed in society.
So, but I mean, basic day-to-day things that impact. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I'm trying to get you to explain it to us. But basically, police interact with us. We're white people. Three of us. We're all white people, right? So, or how we're treated when we go to a store, and I mean those kind of things. Like examples. What are some examples that people here need to know, or what's the message you're trying to get across in sort of a non-abstract way? Because we're talking about whiteness as an abstract concept.
I think a way for us to interact together and to understand our uniquenesses and understand how those uniquenesses can bring us together, to value education. I think, as an open access institution, Portland Community College really values our diversity, and we want all people to feel comfortable and welcome in these spaces, in the classroom, outside the classroom. So this is an opportunity to dialogue about some of the tensions that that's created because of the societal pressure of whiteness.
What are specific situations that you want to address, that actual real concrete situations?
I think, there are racist situations that happen in classrooms, and it's to try to overcome those and to create a safe environment for all students.
What situations? So, what?
Tensions in the classroom.
Over what, specifically?
Over race.
How is that? How would that manifest itself though?
Through dialogues and discussion in the classroom.
Well, what do you mean by that? Is there bias? I mean, I'm just trying to
Yes.
actually understand a concrete example of what you're talking about.
Right. So I think bias occurs. It's a natural part of life that some of it's learned, some of it is but it can be unlearned. And these dialogues will allow people to be more conscious of their own biases and try different ways of interacting.
But how does bias manifest itself in a school setting specifically? What is the concern that you're trying to address here specifically?
I think it's just to create a better understanding of how we operate in the world within a college and university setting.
Well, but what are examples of bias in this setting that you're talking about? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what are you specifically trying to address?
And could you send me hers and
How to
as well?
work better together. I think that's that's what we want to do here.
Have there been specific incidents that led to this?
There are instances, yes, and we're trying to remedy those incidences. So there are complaints that are filed on all colleges and university campuses across the country.
What kind of complaints?
Racial discrimination, gender bias, all kinds of some things that relate to harassment. So I think when you look at society, there's a lot of differences in how we treat each other, and this is an attempt to have a better understanding of how we can treat each other better.
Okay. So and then the nuts and bolts, you guys are doing it starts at noon and goes to when again?
We go till about 4 today,
Okay.
are the first session.
And it's how many sessions are there?
All together, college-wide, over 100.
And it's these kind of things where people are kind of doing
Workshops,
activities.
performances, variety of different venues, some poster sessions, some classroom discussions, so a variety of different methods to be able to learn more about this this social problem.
Yeah, I mean, Portland's I think it's the whitest city in America, right? So, why specifically Portland is this important?
I think as an institution, PCC values diversity, and so we want to be a leader in this work. And so we've gotten a lot of press, both local and national, related to this. And I think it shows that we want to improve our environment for all of our students, faculty, and staff.
All right, one more question because you gotta go. Is obviously when you do these things, there's a lot of people who support it and think it's great because you're helping to uncover people's hidden biases, which we all have. But there's always people who criticize it as well too, and you've probably heard a lot of it. And people say this is just another reinforcement of white guilt. There's a lot of naivete in Portland. I mean, I used to live in Florida and Los Angeles, and where there are people of color, a lot more people of color, and you don't see this kind of stuff happening. And this seems to be an insular white community where you have a lot of white guilt, and this is playing itself out, and people think it's a big waste of time. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I disagree with that. I really believe that this is not about shaming white people. It's really about providing a better understanding for all of us. And so this is not because Portland is predominantly white that we're doing this. We're doing this because it really does allow us to look at our own biases and become better people as a result of interacting with each other and learning from each other.
Awesome.
All right.
Do you have any questions?